Hi guys, a pleasant day to each and everyone. I am Sharamay Kabamungan from the Bachelor of Secondary Education, and for today's video, we are going to discuss the 8 philosophers and their philosophy about self. So the first philosopher is René Descartes. René Descartes' concept of the self revolves around the idea of mind-body dualism. For Descartes, a human person is composed of two parts, namely a material body and non-material body. It must be noted that Descartes' idea of the mind is not different from the idea of the soul, understood in antiquity. For instance, Plato's concept of the mind. So, René Descartes in the quotes of the I think, therefore I am. So, kapag nag-iisip ka, ibig sabihin, ikaw yon kasi iniisip mo yung mga bagay na gagawin mo na makapagpapatunay na ikaw talaga yon. And the essence of the self, a thinking of entity that doubts, understands, analyzes, questions, and reasons. The second philosopher is Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant claims that we have a mortal duty to never treat others as a means to an end, to respect others as persons. If fairly well known, in a similar way, Kant also believed that we have a moral duty to respect ourselves as person, a duty that derives from our dignity as rational beings. And also, we construct ourselves, internal world thoughts and feelings, external world events, situations, happenings outside our control. We synthesize to create the self, and also the self construct its own reality, creating the world that is familiar and predicted. The third philosopher is Gilbert Ryle. Gilbert Ryle, the self is not entity that one can locate and analyze, but simply the convenient name that we use to refer to behaviors that we make. He also followed ordinary language philosophy, arguing that the mind does not exist and therefore can't be the seat of self. Ryle believed that the self comes from behavior. We're all just a bundle of behaviors caused by the physical workings of the body. And his quote is, "I act, therefore I am." The way we do things defines the self. So, ang ibig sabihin ng I act, therefore I am, kung ginagawa mo yung bagay na yon, doon ka nakikilala ng mga tao dahil sa ginagawa mong mga bagay, doon mo mas pinapakita yung sarili mo na talagang ikaw yung tao na yun. So the fourth philosopher that we were going to discuss is about George Herbert Mead, the I and me. The me is what is learned in the interaction with others, with the environment. The I is the response of the individual to the me. The me self has been developed by the knowledge of society and the social interaction that the individual has gained. And the I, therefore, can be considered the present and future phase of the self. The I represents the individual's identity based on response to the me. The fifth philosopher is Socrates. Socrates believes that the self exists in two parts. One part is the physical, which is the tangible aspect of us. This is the part that is mortal and can be or is constantly changing. It belongs to the physical real that our bodies belong in. Because just as in terms physically, the earth constantly being modified. And the second part is the soul, which he believed to be immortal. The soul is the part that is unvarying across all realms. It is unchanging while it's attached to your body and thus in the physical realm. But it is also unmodified once you die, and your soul leaves the body to travel to the ideal of will. The second one is Saint Augustine. The self has an immortal soul. A soul can live in this world without a body, for it is considered as a unity of body and self. It is an important element of man which governs and defines himself. We all know that we are created in the image and likeness of God, for we are geared towards the good. self made up by body and soul. Revelation to the God everyone created in the image and likeness of gods. And you have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until discontent. And also, we will discuss about William James. It is the me, self, and the I, self. He is the father of American. The I, self, a sense of being, the agent of initiator of behavior. And self is subjective, that self that is aware of its own actions. A sense of being unique, a sense of being continuity, and a sense of being awareness. Me self is the self that is an object or the self you can describe. And William James have the three dimensions, the material, social, and the spiritual. The material is the physical appearance, and the social is the social skills, and also the spiritual is the personality, character, defining value. Lastly is Paul Churchland, a philosopher who advocates for eliminative materialism, a theory that asserts that the self is inseparable from the brain and the physiology of the body. He rejects the idea of dualism, which is the belief that the mind and the body are separate entities. According to Churchland, the mind is not a separate entity but rather a product of brain activity. He argues that the ordinary psychology of the mind is wrong, and that is the physical brain and not the imaginary mind that give us our sense of self. The self is the brain, and all we have is the brain, and so if the brain is gone, and there is no self.